What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. If you're here before, I'm Neon Mushroom. Today we're gonna play some standard on Arena. We're playing a league, or Arena's league equivalent, which is a standard event, which we'll talk about why in a moment. At the end of this video, I've got some update announcements. It's all good stuff, additive stuff going into next year that I wanted to share with everyone who follows the channel and watches every video. So if you're not a patron, some of the stuff you probably don't know yet, but we're going to start doing some cool stuff next year, including but not limited to streaming and the revival of the second channel that I started and kind of stopped. But part of that is I'm going to be playing some Arena. And we're not going to be grinding ladder on this channel. I don't want to do that. I want to focus on leagues and cohesive events that we can look at. Oh, this deck was played in 5 games. How did it do? What was the matchup spread? All that stuff. I think it makes for a better video. So I'm going to try to use Arena, but effectively make MTGO leagues with Arena. We're also going to be playing MTGO soon, but I think I'm only going to play challenges and stuff for standard on MTGO. Because I can play basically every standard deck for the foreseeable future on Arena, and I think the client looks a little bit nicer and is a bit more quickly paced. That said, we're still going to be playing all of our digital modern on MTGO. So if you're a big MTGO fan, don't worry about it. Another thing is we're going to be doing deck techs starting at the beginning of the year pretty regularly. I'm really excited to do that. And because of that, I'm not going to make a point to go over these deck lists in super deep detail when we do these league videos. But this is the Bant Beanstalk deck. Specifically, it's Simic with a light splash of white for some sideboard cards. And if you don't know how the deck works, it's all based around Up the Beanstalk, which is a card that it draws you a card anytime you cast a spell that costs 5 or more. We've got 3 of those. 4 this town ain't big enough, 4 Tolarian Terrors, 4 Eddymurk Crabs. Everything else is set up to support this game plan, and the white is for Sheltered by Ghosts and Monastery Mentor on the sideboard. That's why you see a weird plains in the side. But that's everything you're ever going to need to know about this main board outside of a deck tech situation. So, and I did mess up my audio the first time I tried to record this for anyone watching. So if it seems like I'm going quicker than I normally would, it's because A, I try to play kind of quick, and then B, the audio got doubled because I messed up my OBS settings in the last one, so we're running it back. The last one was a 4-1 if you're interested. 4 wins, 1 loss, which is pretty good. But you're never going to get to see it because the audio is messed up. So let's try this. Let's get into round 1 of the traditional standard event. Mind you, costs, it's funny, I don't quite have 5,000 gems. I did all my dailies and it didn't add up to enough. But the max prize out for this is 1,000 gems. The buy-in is 750 gems or 5,000 gold. So anything past 3 wins is either break even or close to break even, or just raw profit. Also, if you go 5-0, you get play-in points plus 3 packs. So it's really good. Let's do round 1. And like I said, remember, if you are interested in channel updating stuff, I'll talk about it at the end of the video. If you're not, sign off as soon as the games are done. And if you don't care about the games for some reason and you just want to hear that, I guess it's in the chapters below if you want to check that out. Looks like our opponent won the die roll. They're deciding which player will play first. If they pick the draw, I am just going to be so elated. Looks like we're going to be waiting for a minute. Our opponent is now on the rope deciding whether they're going to be on the player draw. Don't rope yourself, dude. This hand is solid. Notably, this Floodfarm Verge, its base color is white. We don't have any white in the main board. So that's going to be the last land we play. We hope to find some type of basic island or a Hedge Maze to turn on its, colored side, because all of our white cards are on the sideboard. But this hand has big fatty payoff, Up the Beanstalk to draw a card out the fatty payoff, cash grab to make it cheaper, and this town ain't big enough to interact. So I think this is a pretty decent keep on the draw. We hope we're not playing against mono red. That's a even-ish matchup. That's a Seachrome Coast. I wonder what this matchup is. But we're not playing against mono red, so we feel good. Also, we drew our island. So we'll play Hedge Maze because we don't have a 1-drop. We see Stormchaser's Talent. I think at some point we want this card. The question is, do we want it now? It will just let us double spell on turn 3, so I think we'll leave it on top. If that was any spell, we'd just pitch it. Charter Course. It looks like we're playing against the Oculus deck. I don't have a ton of gameplay. I don't have a ton of reps into this matchup. I suspect the matchup's probably just fine. We're going to play, I think, Up the Beanstalk. We're going to have to let this Oculus get at least 1 trigger because they're definitely going to helping hand it. But between this town ain't big enough and Eddymurk Crab, we should have the tempo, the tempo plays we need to be able to beat it. Now, if they ever get a second Oculus into play or a Monastery Mentor, if they have that in the main, that's going to be tough. Found in the 3rd path into Helping Hand seems very good. Soul Partition, okay, into Helping Hand. There it is. Okay, they found Helping Hand. And I can no longer, well, I guess I can this town ain't big enough plus Stormchaser's Talent, which seems fine. I think that's what we have to do here. So we'll go Floodfarm Verge, Stormchaser's Talent, and then we just need to get that thing out of play now, so let's just do that. I'll pick my Stormchaser's talent back up, bounce the Oculus, and pass turn. Now they can mill themselves for 4 and recast it, but we want to keep our opponent recasting their spells as often as possible. They did just put 2 more Helping Hands into their bin, so this is a pretty strong start from the Oculus deck. And they have a recommission? I'm sorry, you had 4 of 5 reanimate spells in the top 18 cards of your library? That's busted. I actually don't know if we can beat that. All right, Abhorrent Oculus triggers. Can't do anything about that. Draw an island. We need to get really lucky here. Let's cast Up the Beanstalk. Draw Cash Grab. We are definitely dead this game. Let's see here. They're going to trigger the last mode of Found in the Third Path. They're going to get back a nothing right now, actually. That's interesting. I guess we'll give it 1 more turn, but I don't think there's a lot we can do here to come out of this. This was just a little bit too aggressive. Another Soul Partition for my Up the Beanstalk. Can't do anything about that. I was thinking this match would be decent to good, but now they don't do this every game. If they did, this would be the best deck in the format. But based off of this is our first example, seems tough. Also, if you like the Oculus deck, we have it built. We'll be doing some paper gameplay very shortly on the channel with the Oculus deck. Opt, sure. I think we want maybe all of our white cards, or maybe we just want the Sheltered by Ghosts in this matchup. I don't know how good our Monastery Mentors are going to be. They attack for a bunch. I'm going to block one of the 2 power. Oh, that's a second Oculus. Goodbye. They saw 3 Oculuses and 5 reanimate spells. We definitely can't beat that. All right, what do we want against Oculus? I guess when I sideboard, I should go over here. We want Ghost Vacuum because it shuts their deck down pretty effectively. I think we want Pick Your Poison as well. Makes them sacrifice the Oculus. At least in some number. We'll try 2 to start. And I think we want Sheltered by Ghost as a permanent answer to the Oculus. They can't play Rest in Peace because it shuts their own deck down. At least I'm pretty sure they can't. I guess they could sideboard out that whole plan and bring in Mentors, but if we get got by that, it just happens, I guess. We'll cut Yavimaya Coast to make space for the plains, and then we're going to cut a Picklock Prankster just because it's kind of a flex slot to begin with. A Cash Grab, a Seed of Hope. Well, no, we'll leave the Seed of Hope set on the play, I think. We'll cut a Sleight of Hand. And we actually do have a problem here. I don't think we have enough to cut to bring in these Sheltered by Ghosts. And I think Unsummon is still incredibly effective. So maybe on the play, at least, on the draw, I could see needing the Sheltered by Ghosts. But on the play, maybe I'm just supposed to leave this out of my deck and just play our main game plan. And then use the Ghost Vacuums, hopefully, to stop them from, like, tempoing us way out of the game, because their deck is another good tempo deck. And that can be tough for us sometimes. So yeah, I think what we'll do is cut a Seed of Hope. And we'll try that. Okay, I get to be on the play this time, which is great. This hand is, like, good. It doesn't have a Ghost Vacuum in it, but it has an answer to almost everything, so we're going to keep it. We get to open on Stormchasers, play Up the Beanstalk, attack for 2 on turn 2, have this town ain't big enough for their first threat, which is going to be hopefully quite potent. They lead on an island. What do you got here? Just opt? Nothing? Cool. Botanical Sanctum, Up the Beanstalk. Spell Pierce is not legal in this format. Trigger the Beanstalk, draw a card, hopefully Cash Grab, not quite. Seed of Hope's half of a Cash Grab, and that's good enough for me. Opt's fine. So they can't reanimate us next turn, which is really good, because we're tapped out right now, so that'd be brutal if they could put an Oculus in play. Chart a Course. This probably gets an Oculus into the bin, though. We take a draw, Botanical Sanctum. Thank you for being drawn right this second. This is the turn we needed you. Let's go ahead and play the Seed of Hope now to start to set up this Eddymurk Crab. No hits, unfortunately. I mean, no hits for the Eddymurk Crab itself. But we will take a second Eddymurk Crab, another 6 drops. Hopefully we can get something going soon. Attack for 2. We're probably going to be using this town ain't big enough. Hopefully it doesn't get no more lies. They can't do that because they only have 1 white source. So they would need a negate. So what they can do now is Helping Hand. And then what we really want to do is this town ain't big enough, our Stormchaser's talent plus the Abhorrent Oculus, and really hope they don't have like Negate or Disdainful Stroke. This town, trigger, and at the very least we get a card draw off of the Beanstalk, even if they have the interaction. And we have, okay, they have the Negate, but we have a second. This town ain't big enough. All right, we're gonna let this trigger resolve. What they put in the bin? An Exercise? Sure. Drawing my 4th Botanical Sanctum here was kind of unfortunate. Let's go ahead and go Yavimaya Coast. Let's this town ain't big enough, both of these things. Make our Eddymurk Crabs 4 drops, flat out a little bit, which is unfortunate. Then play 2 more of these. 1, 2, and attack them for 4. We still have a tempo game plan, which is pretty sweet. And this Hedge Maze, if that can flip an instant or sorcery and make our Eddymurk Crabs a little bit cheaper, that'll be, well, I guess it'll just be okay because they're 4 drops. If it made them from 3 drops to 2 drops, then we could double spell, but we can't quite do that here. Haughty Djinn is fine. Great. Moment of Truth is also fine. I almost want to draw like a, what would it be? I guess a Cash Grab or a Serum Visions here would be quite good. Unsummon is phenomenal though. Let's go Unsummon the Haughty Djinn. Yeah. Trigger all those dudes. And then let's Hedge Maze now. Seed of Hope can go to the bin because that makes Eddymurk a 2-drop. Then we'll play the Eddymurk Crab to get a draw off the Beanstalk. And it's what we wanted in a non-creature, so it's going to trigger Prowess. Tap that down, play Stormchaser's Talent, trigger Prowess. We're going to bring them to 2. The gambit here is like, they probably don't play very many board wipes, if any, maybe split up. And we've got a pretty good split between tapped and untapped creatures. And they're at 2, so functionally any attack with this Eddymurk Crab should kill them. All right, cool. They just concede. Great. That worked out great for us. On the draw, do we want Sheltered by Ghosts? Probably not. Something I could consider is, since drawing 3 Stormchaser's Talent was so good that game, maybe is Monastery Mentor pretty good, but I can't cheat it into play early like they can. So I kind of think that like the one card I'm eyeballing here for game 3 is Minor Misstep and potentially Negate. I could see both of those being fine. I can definitely cut and Analyze the Pollen. I want all my Bushwhacks as fight spells, and I could see bringing in a Minor Misstep, but then it becomes, what do I want for the Negate? It's probably like no. Is it pick your poison? No, I guess if I wanted the Negate, I would want it on the play, because on the draw, it's going to be too slow. It doesn't do anything to get me out from underneath of a giant eyeball. That said, Pawpatch Formation does. It's pretty good. But no, ultimately, I think I'm fine with like this configuration. I could see like, they only have Haughty Djinn. I guess this is always just a little bit better than Pawpatch. So no, we're going to keep it like this and play. Oh, I left my head in front. I'm talking about the difference between Pick Your Poison and Pawpatch. They're only ever going to have like one flying creature I care about out at a time. So I think Pick Your Poison just a little bit better. This hand is awful. This is the type of hand you sometimes see because you play Floodfarm Verge. It only makes white, so we have to go to 6 because of that. This hand has Analyze the Pollen, so we're shipping a land for sure. This town ain't big enough and Up the Beanstalk. I think we have to keep this, and I think we need to cut the basic and hope they don't just like put an Oculus in their bin off of their Meticulous Archive turn 1. That would be panic inducing. Okay, nothing. We draw land after drawing a 4 land hand and pitching one, which is unlikely because we have 17 lands, but it is what it is. We're going to play Hedge Maze, see Seed of Hope, decide that I think we want Seed of Hope to start filling up our graveyard. All right, there's another Meticulous Archive. All right, now they've been the Oculus. Not quite, thank God. There's still no Spell Pierce in this format, so Up the Beanstalk's pretty good here. At any point, drawing a Ghost Vacuum would be ideal. Like really, really good. Yeah, I definitely, let me know how you like the, this fake, what do you call it? Green screen effect. It's like the NVIDIA green screen effect. Oh, there's the Oculus. I'm gonna have to deal with that like this turn. Yeah, they're reanimating it. But like, I don't like the artifacts. It kind of makes shit disappear and it's weird. But if we like this better than the picture-in-picture thing I've historically done, then I will just invest in an actual green screen. Okay, the Oculus, its trigger resolves. I take draw. This time ain't big enough is a good draw. We'll play Stormchaser's Talent. Start going wide, and then we will, this town ain't big enough your thing. We gotta try to keep those out of play. Do we have any other reanimate targets? No, cool. All right, go ahead, opponent. We really need to just start drawing like Eddymurk Crabs now. Ooh, Surveil Land. They still can't quite Oculus us, which is great. Haughty Djinn's fine. Free attack for 2, I can't stop you. Okay, we take a draw. We don't love drawing the Botanical Sanctum, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and Seed of Hope now. Okay, Stormchaser's Talent number 2 is fine. Let's go Floodfarm Verge. Stormchaser's Talent, make a dude. The attack here is free, right? Yeah, because if they decide to block, we can just like this town ain't big enough to face down card plus Stormchasers and kill the Haughty Djinn. So this attack's free. And then I think we need to leave this town ain't big enough up for their Oculus if they decide to cast it. So we're just passing. Picklock Prankster is fine. That's going to make Haughty Djinn problematic though. They probably take back Get Lost. Ooh, no, Charter Course. Do they really want to reanimate the Abhorrent Oculus that bad here? I guess if they have like Negate, that's really good. All right, there's the Recom. That resolves. All right, I can't stop you from attacking me. Ouch. Pretty please don't have Negate. I'm going to go bouncy and trigger my Up the Beanstalk. Picklock Prankster, no Negate, no Negate. And I draw an Eddymurk Crab, which is a phenomenal draw here. And a Pick Your Poison. Wow, we got so lucky there. Please sacrifice a creature with flying of your choice, opponent. Now Eddymurk Crab's a 2-drop, which is huge. It means we can develop both Stormchaser's Talents and just like kind of flood the board with prowess creatures, which is obviously insane. There's a prowess creature. Here's another prowess creature. Trigger my prowess dudes. I'm going to attack you for 8. We really hope that face down card isn't another Oculus. That would be bad for us. All right, go to combat. Attack. All right, they're chumping one, which makes sense. You're up, opponent. And now Stormchaser's Talent can be used to buy back this town at some point. Or no, if they play Oculus, we just buy back Pick Your Poison. Yeah, Opt is good. Because here they have to be thinking about casting the Oculus, or at least reanimating it. They can like discard it and reanimate maybe. Founding the third path? Sure. All right, what instant or sorcery do you want to cast? Exercise? Oh, you're going to hit one of my talents. Sure. I would have hit the Up the Beanstalk here. I have 2 of them, so that actually doesn't do very much. What else you got, opponent? Do you want to jam your Aki? All right, yeah, they're just casting the Abhorrent Oculus, which is fine here. They would unstep. I play Eddymurk Crab. Depending on what I draw off this Beanstalk and my draw for turn, I might be able to kill them here. That's another Stormchaser's talent, which importantly triggers prowess here. Kind of just want to draw a land now, like an on-tap land. No dice. No dice. I can just like force them to take an awkward block here. Let me sit here and stare at this board and make sure there's no like weird way for me to kill my opponent. Let me see, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So if I can clear through with everything and trigger prowess once they're dead, can I do that? I can, right? What do we have in the bin here? This town ain't big enough twice. So that makes Eddymurk Crab a 5-drop, but it becomes a 4-drop because I put Analyze the Pollen in the bin. I think I just win here. Yeah, go green, Analyze the Pollen, pay for the thing. I'm going to take out this town ain't big enough 2 times, and then I'm going to search my library. That triggers prowess, so that takes care of the damage problem. And then I search my library for another Eddymurk Crab, who is now a 3-drop. And then I play Eddymurk Crab, and I tap down my opponent's creature, their blocker. Both of them, why not? And then I guess I'll Sleight of Hand just to make it like more damage. But yeah, okay, cool. That's kind of how I envisioned this game going, but our opponent's game 1 was just so good. Like it was impressive, but wasn't good enough to beat us altogether. We got games 2 and 3, so that's sweet. Love to see a 1-0 start. Let's go ahead and get into round 2. All right, found our round 2 opponent. We're on the play, which is awesome for us. This hand, however, is not. Double Stormchaser's talent, love to see it. You need some support for it. We don't have that. Just 4 lands, which when you're playing 17 lands is flooding. So we're gonna mulligan. Bushwhack, Bushwhack, this town ain't big enough. Tolarian Terror? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. We'll keep this, we'll ship the Floodfarm Verge, and we're just gonna open on Hedge Maze, hoping to make our Tolarian Terror a little cheaper or find a Beanstalk. We don't, and we don't want to cast this Bushwhack, I don't think, so we're just gonna go ahead and, maybe we do want to cast this Bushwhack, right? Just in case we need to use one to fight? No, I think that's too slow. We're just gonna put it in the bin pass. The card we obviously want to find here is Up the Beanstalk. That would be very good for us. This looks like it's gonna be Dimir Midrange. This is a pretty good matchup for us. I don't even think I'm going to search on this one. I think I'm going to fight. No, that's stupid. We definitely search. We're going to search for a basic island. I was thinking we could fight the Siren, but like they'll probably play like a Deep Cavern Bat at some point or something like that I can like fight, and that'll be a little bit better. But this matchup, if I'm able to fight, there's the Deep Cavern Bat. It'll probably take Bushwhack, but we'll get it back. Unless if they're really smart, they might take this town ain't big enough. You know, looking at it, they actually don't have either way, they're kind of, this Deep Cavern Bat isn't long for this world. All right, they attack for 1, I assume. So now I can, okay, now we're not doing anything but casting Up the Beanstalk. Let's go land, Up the Beanstalk, trigger prowess, attack for 2, hope they don't cast Gix. Sweet. Okay, the plan was going to be like, what if this town ain't big enough, Deep Cavern Bat plus Stormchaser's talent, and get back the Bushwhack, but then the Deep Cavern Bat goes back to their hand, and that kind of sucks for us, so we're not going to do that, obviously. Okay, here we're just going to attack for 1. We're not going to cast this town ain't big enough at sorcery speed into their on-tap mana. We want to wait until they put something on the stack. Okay, it looks like they want to draw a card off the Fountain Port, which kind of makes me want to bounce something. I think I'm just going to like use my mana and get this Spyglass Siren out of play. Give myself a recast on the Stormchaser's talent, seems quite good. And making all of these 4 giant creatures in my hand into 4-drops, we're very close to being able to cast these. Once we start casting them with the Up the Beanstalk in play, it's going to be really hard for them to come back from it. Of course, we could just never draw another instant or sorcery, but that's unlikely considering the way our deck's built. Also, this Deep Cavern Bat might just need to take Stormchaser's talent, because they just looked into an absolute shit sandwich. Yeah, that's what they took, Stormchasers. All right, we draw a basic land. Okay, we're going to attack. We're just going to use the Eddymurk Crab. We're not interested in drawing cards on our turn because Fairy Mastermind messes that up. There's the Fairy Mastermind. So we're going to pass to end of turn. Now I'm going to Eddymurk Crab to try to tap down 2 of their creatures. If they have the counter spell, I draw a card anyway, so we're going to start bleeding them of cards. There's the Phantom Interference, meaning they can't actually cast Enduring Curiosity. So we're just going to start drawing cards. Little land action, little attack for 4. Now they are doing a good job of kicking our teeth in, that's for sure. Let's go Hedge Maze. What's on top at the Sleight of Hand? I think I'm really comfortable putting that in the graveyard. I don't care about cantripping because every spell we cast draws a card. So we'll go to combat and attack them for 1 and pass turn. In their upkeep, I'm going to do it again, Eddymurk Crab. Just because like we're down at 12 already, so we need to just start like making them tap their mana before they draw their card, which they did. And this is normally like nightmarish, but because they can't cast Enduring Curiosity, we're fine with this exchange. Okay, you draw. Now we have enough mana to double spell with our Tolarian Terror and Eddymurk Crab, so that feels really good. Ooh, Kaido's going to be a nightmare, though. Taking Fairy Mastermind out of the equation to put Kaido in play, we don't hate, though. All right, Kaido makes ninjas bigger, sure. That Unsummon was maybe one of our best draws. Now what do? We like Unsummon the Deep Cavern Bat with a Bushwhack on it, trigger Prowess here. Then we Bushwhack to fight the Deep Cavern Bat that has my Stormchaser's talent underneath it. Hiya. Then we get Stormchaser's talent back. Then we play the Stormchaser's talent, grow it again. Then we make another dude, and we just try to find anything to trigger Prowess here to take out the Kaido, which I just found. So, do we want to, I think we'll Tolarian Terror. We're probably going to unsummon one of our own terrors if we have to, just to take out that Kaido. And that's what we'll do. We'll just, well, they have a Deep Cavern Bat. Maybe we want to unsummon one of the Prowess guys. I think we do. We'll just unsummon Prowess guy, and then we'll kill Kaido. And that's how you turn around that game where it looked like our opponent was absolutely ranching us. Now they're on a 2-turn clock. This Deep Cavern Bat admittedly is very strong, but we still have this Stormchaser's talent in play, which is going to let us get back a This Town Ain't Big Enough, which is going to be just really good for us. And that's barring us like drawing anything good. If we draw a good spell here, like Up the Beanstalk, maybe we don't do that. It's kind of hard to say what we're supposed to do. We could Up the Beanstalk, but if we whiff here, it kind of wastes the turn. I think I am just interested in activating Stormchaser's talent, and we'll get back a This Town Ain't Big Enough. And I'm super cozy just attacking for 10. Let's see, if they wanted to kill me, they'd have to cut down my 1/1, because they could always, of course, get him with their Restless Reef, because 4+1+1 is 6, and that's my life total. So if they have cut down for my Otter, then they'll have enough mana. Well, they can do it on my turn. So they cut down, then just activate the Restless Reef and get busy. Anything outside of that, I'm pretty sure I can beat. I don't know how much I want to pump my brakes here. That said, I think I need to err on the side of being very careful. I'm just going to attack for 5. That way, if they do have not a Fatal Push, but a cut down, I'm not just straight up dead. That seems good. We'll play Botanical Sanctum. We'll just pass. All right, there's Fairy Mastermind. I think we want to, do we want to do the This Town Ain't Big Enough now and just get Spyglass Siren out of play? I could see that being the play. Nah, I think I'm just gonna like let this happen. They already used 2 counterspells. This deck usually plays 2 to 3 counterspells in the main deck. So they probably don't have another one, and I want to be able to like respond to whatever they do here with my This Town Ain't Big Enough. Okay, they activate Restless Reef. They go to combat. They'll probably mill themselves because I have an active, they don't, that's weird. Okay, I still have an active Stormchaser's talent in play. All right, there's the cut down I was worried about. So what we'll do is before the cut down resolves, I'm going to bounce my own Stormchaser's talent and something that doesn't have, I guess it's just Fairy Mastermind. I don't want to hit the Deep Cavern Bat. They'll just recast it and that'll be lame. So we'll just do this, force them to respend the mana. And then they only have the 1 man land, so we'll just pop off a block on that. Okay, opponent, what else? Nothing? All right, we'll play another Stormchaser's talent, and then we'll get busy for 5. We're probably just going to use this Unsummon on Yuta, meaning I think it's pretty safe to play the Beanstalk here, because they're going to go Yuta in response. I wonder if I'm supposed to unsummon the Deep Cavern Bat instead. That seems like it could be pretty good too. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I just want to do that. Let's unsummon the Deep Cavern Bat. I'm going to let them draw a card here, because then I get Eddymurk Crab, and I can actually blink the card draw from the dude. From the Yuta, just by drawing my second card before it comes into play. And now I have an on-tap 5/5. So now the only card we're stressed about is Kaido. And then Prowess does its thing. I get the Beanstalk. That draws me an extra card. And then I'm going to gain 2 life just right now, just in case something goes wrong. All right, and I have what my opponent should assume is lethal in play, so they can't get too froggy. They wish they could play Frog. They're in the right colors. Wrong format, though. All right, don't play Enduring. Don't play Enduring. They didn't play Enduring. Okay, let's play land. Let's play Sleight of Hand first. This Town Ain't Big Enough is a phenomenal draw here. Let's go ahead and cast This Town Ain't Big Enough on... I guess they can make a token blocker, which is problematic. Let's just go to combat and attack. I think I can buy back... Do I have an Unsummon in the bin? I believe I do. Yeah, I can buy back Unsummon plus hold up Unsummon and This Town Ain't Big Enough. That seems great. Here's just a ton of damage. Yeah, you lose a life and make a 1/1. We block? We block. Let's go to damage, and then let's add some mana here. Activate Stormchaser's talent 1 more time. Every time, now this is, I don't know if I've talked about it yet in this video, but every time with Stormchaser's talent in This Town Ain't Big Enough, it creates a loop. It's a very mana intensive loop, but it's a potent loop that allows you to continue to do the thing. You just always have a bounce spell. I think I'm supposed to take Bushwhack here now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, let's just take a Bushwhack. Then we can Bushwhack to fight Fairy Mastermind. And then I just don't see how they deal lethal to us outside of Kaido. But if they have a Kaido, they just have a Kaido. I think that's just the way it is. It's another Deep Cavern Bat. Okay, I think that probably kills our opponent here. All right, this town ain't big enough. The Spyglass Siren, I guess, and my own Stormchasers. Trigger everything. Draw Unsummon plus Botanical Sanctum, bounces back to my hand. You can take any cards you want. Your Deep Cavern Bats are on chump blocking duty now, which means I just get my spells back regardless. I guess we're not chump blocking. I guess you've got like Fountain Port? Is that good enough? I don't think so. Cash Grab's solid here. Let's go ahead and play Stormchaser's Talent. I can just win here, right? Do I have a Analyze the Pollen in my graveyard? Oh, I don't have Analyze the Pollen. If I did, I would just win here. I could buy back Analyze the Pollen and go get a second Eddymurk Crab. That said, I think I'm still supposed to... Let's go ahead and turn on the Stormchaser's Talent. With that, we're going to buy back Bushwhack. And we are going to Bushwhack. We're going to have Tolarian Terror fight Deep Cavern Bat. I want my Unsummon back pretty badly. We are at 2, so we have to start being careful with our life total, because they've got enough flyers to kill us. And now we attack in a way that forces them to just completely tap out. And if they go to make a dude off their Fountain Port, I think I can kill them. Okay, you're at 6. You made a thing. Now I just unsummon the thing and you don't have any other plays. You can block one thing and then take, yeah, this is game. All right, going to game 2. Yeah, this matchup's generically pretty good for the Simic deck, regardless of whether you're straight up Simic, Bant, you know, the white splash, or the black splash for, what is it, Sultai. This matchup's going to be pretty good for you, just because you can kind of like out-tempo their tempo game plan, and they're going to be able to outdraw you a bunch when they have their Enduring Curiosities, but you can just play a game where you never let them have time to spend the mana on all those cards that they're drawing, kind of undoing the card draw itself. But game 2, what do we want? I think we want like one Pick Your Poison. We want to be able to take out their Ghost Vacuum if they wind up finding it. And we also want to like take out random flyers like Yuta and stuff like that. Also bring in one Negate. That's just going to be generically for like any late game spells they have like Gix's Command. I just want access to something to stop them. I'll bring in 2 Monastery Mentors. I'll move myself over a little bit so you can kind of see how I'm sideboarding better, just in case they do find an early Ghost Vacuum and I need to pivot to playing a game plan that doesn't lean quite as hard on my graveyard. So I'll bring in the Plains because of that, because I need white mana. So look at Yavimaya Coast, one of each of my creatures to scoop out the space for a Mentor so we don't have a weird imbalance of creatures and spells. On the draw, I'm fine cutting exactly one of my land search effects, and then I guess I can pitch a Picklock Prankster just because it's like my worst self-mill effect. And that's how we're going to play game 2. Okay, let's take a look at this opener. We've got land search effect, Unsummon, Tolarian Terror. This hand's kind of weak. It's a bit underpowered. We don't have like any Up the Beanstalks or any Stormchaser's talents or anything like that, which makes me think maybe we're supposed to put this back. It is nice that we'll never miss a land drop and we can start to fuel the graveyard for a Tolarian Terror. But with our only filtering card being Hedge Maze, I'm a little bit uneasy. If our opponent, for instance, just opens up on a, what's the name of the card? The Ghost Vacuum. That's going to be pain in the ass for us. So I think maybe we're supposed to put this back to try to find something with like a little bit more action. All right, this hand is actually a little bit better. We still have 4 lands, but we can pitch one of them. We still got the Unsummon, so we've got some interaction. We have an Up the Beanstalk and a Cash Grab now. So this hand is equally bad into a turn 1 Ghost Vacuum, except for it's not, because the Cash Grab mills so many cards that if I hit 2 or 3 instants, they're going to struggle to keep my graveyard empty as I cast spells. So I think we're supposed to try this. We're going to pitch the Forest because it's actually the worst basic in our deck, because it can't cast an Eddymurk Crab and it doesn't help us double spell with blue cards, which is primarily what our deck's made up of, a bunch of blue 1-drops. If you're looking to pick this deck up, I'm not going to drop his name, but I saw someone on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, made it to Mythic with this deck. And like, I'd never heard of this person. I checked their profile. No one else never heard of this person. And they like made it to Mythic once and decided they were going to sell a sideboard guide and deck tech for this deck. They were not the creator of this deck at all. I don't even know if they developed any of the changes that have been happening over the last couple months. This deck is not super difficult to play. If you want to learn to play this deck, finish watching this video and then use like, I don't know, 12 rare wild cards and just sleeve it up and try it out. It's all mostly intuitive. The real thing that you need to learn when playing a deck like this is how to leverage tempo plays and how to make your opponent rope themselves into passing the turn for no reason. Okay, disregard everything I just said. I'm not very good at Magic. My opponents just don't play Magic against me and I win games. It's kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, this deck is, you gotta get good at the tempo stuff. So figuring out, okay, how many turns do I need to kill my opponent and what plays do I need to make sure that I can swing for lethal. You don't need to worry about answering every threat in a deck like this. You need to worry about clearing a pathway to making your opponent's life total 0 by X amount of time. Because there's going to be some matchups like ramp where you're just not going to have the time to like, you got to get them dead by a certain point, because past like a certain turn for that ramp deck is usually like turn 6, turn 7. You're never going to be able to kill them again, because they're just going to have accrued so much value that like they can be at 1 for the whole game. They're always going to have a way to not take damage from you, which it can be nightmarish. But outside of that, don't fall for anyone's weird sideboard guide. I'm going to have a sideboard guide that's available to my patrons in my Discord, which is paid. But that's just one that I cooked up, and I'm not advertising it on Twitter. That's mostly just people who like me and watch me win games by playing one land can look at that. And I probably will be dropping some of the sideboard guides for free eventually as well. Luckily for everyone that follows me, I don't make these just on my own. I do have help from a bunch of players who are better than me in my community, and that helps my sideboard guides be good. But I just wanted to rant about that for a moment because I thought that was hilarious when I saw that a couple weeks ago. But we're 2-0. We hardly deserved it, although that last opponent may just be a Dimir player who's played this matchup and knows how bad it is for them and did not want any part of it, which, to be fair, fine, but you probably should have conceded instead of roping me. Round 3 will be on the play. You got Up the Beanstalk. Yeah, this is a great keep. We're not even going to Bushwhack on turn 1. We're just going to Hedge Maze into Up the Beanstalk, and unless our opponent has duress, there's nothing they can do about it. We don't need another land because we have Bushwhack. The only thing we're looking for is threats. I would like 2 Tolarian Terrors, please. All right, they play a Inspiring Vantage. Sure, I want to play Up the Beanstalk. Now, if this is Convoke, that's another matchup that's pretty tough for us. We got to get on the board really quick. But if this is Convoke, that's a really bad lead for them because they almost always have a 1-drop. This could be Burn. Double Inspiring Vantage into pass. Maybe they want to Boros Charm us, which is like, sure, that's fine. I'll start with Sleight of Hand. I'll take Tolarian Terror. There's how I want them in the game. I'll play a Stormchaser's Talent, I guess. Make a dude. Play Sleight of Hand. I'll take a Seed of Hope. Okay, we feel really good now. I have no clue what my opponent's on. They could be on the mono white splash red deck that plays like Caretaker's Talent and stuff. That matchup's much closer. But the Boros decks are usually pretty good for us, like the Boros Burn decks, because they can't really deal with our threats, and that's super good for us. Let's go ahead and just main face Seed of Hope. All right, unfortunately, we don't mill any instants or sorceries, but we'll just take another giant threat that our opponent probably will not be able to answer. Then let's Bushwhack for basic island, I guess. There's that. And then nothing else to do because our spells are still 3 drops right now. So we'll just attack for 3, pass, hopefully convert this Unsummon, and then start casting creatures that our opponent can't beat. Seems like pretty good game plan. That's a basic mountain. So this is not mono white splashing red. This is like a base red deck probably. Oh, they're Manifold Mouse. Okay, this matchup's pretty good for us. Yeah, you offspring it. I'm gonna unsummon the token because you can't recast that because it's a token and that's how tokens work. Then I'm going to cast creatures that you can't hope to beat. We draw an unsummon? Sure. Do I want to unsummon now just to like fill the board? Do I even need unsummon to fill the board? Not really. I'm just going to play Tolarian Terror, trigger Up the Beanstalk, draw a card. It's a Hedge Maze. I'll play no, I already played land, so I can't do that. I think I'll hold this Tolarian Terror and just plan to Eddymurk Crab my opponent. So no reason to attack. We'll just pass. Our opponent not doing anything until turn 4. Oh, this is the Blouse's deck. It's Boros Enchantments. Yeah, this deck's probably a little bit better than Burn into our deck, but still has to be unfavored, I would imagine. Sheltered by Ghosts on the Manifold Mouse. I'm gonna let you do that. You want my Tolarian Terror? If you want my Tolarian Terror, you have to pay a ward cost. Okay, you put a counter on your Manifold Mouse, that's fine. Sheltered by Ghosts takes my Stormchaser's Talent. So they're kind of telling me they have Shard Mage's Rescue, which is, I don't care about it. Oh, Feather of Flight, you don't have Shard Mage's Rescue. All right, well, this is even better. We're going to go ahead and unsummon the Manifold Mouse, and we will trigger Prowess, and we will pay the ward trigger. Cool. And I'll get another 1/1 with Prowess. On tap, draw, I don't know, dude. Let's go ahead and Bushwhack to have Tolarian Terror fight the Scavenger. Trigger Prowess, trigger Prowess. Let's cast the Tolarian Terror just in case you draw another card to trigger Prowess again, to just speed up our clock. At this point, I think it's a 2-turn clock anyway, but who cares? We'll play Hedge Maze, take a Surveil. Is it a good spell? Nope, it's a bad land. And then we'll get busy for a bunch of damage and kill them after we cast Eddymurk Crab next turn. That was kind of easy. All right, there's just 1/2 of Manifold Mouse. What's the next one? Screaming Nemesis? Nope, they go to combat. That's weird. Sure. Are you just passing? It's not a good play. Tough, dude. That doesn't look good. I'll draw cards and analyze the pollen. Tap your blocker. I have so much damage in play. Ah, yes, to Shard Mage's Rescue. To the rescue. Anyway, so here's an Analyze the Pollen. I'm going to search my library for a basic. Wait, no, I'm not. That's stupid. I'm going to activate this. I'm going to go grab Unsummon. Who really cares? Unsummon this thing. You got another Shard Mage's Rescue? Doesn't matter if you do. but you don't. Okay, that was pretty, I don't know what our opponent kept there, but it wasn't very good. They are the enchantments deck, so Unsummon's going to be at a premium games 2 and 3. They probably have some graveyard hate. They could even potentially play Rest in Peace. So I think what we want to do is maybe play, I think because of their enchantments, I don't think Pick Your Poison's very good because they're going to have multiple enchantments normally, so I won't be able to snipe a Shelter by Ghosts, but I think Paw Patching is pretty good. And then I'm going to bring in 2 Monastery Mentors because I think going wide might end up being good. I'm going to bring in some number of Shelter by Ghosts in my planes as well because of what their deck's doing. And then if I'm bringing in a planes, I'm always going to cut a Yavimaya Coast. I'm going to cut one of each of my fat creatures to scoop out space for the Monastery Mentor. On the draw, I'm comfortable losing one of my search effects for lands, one of my Sleight of Hands, my Picklock Prankster, and then in this matchup, I feel like kind of comfortable just dropping 1 Up the Beanstalk and hitting submit. All right, this is a 1 island hand with a Shelter by Ghosts and a bunch of stuff I can't cast except for Stormchasers and Sheltered, or instead of Stormchasers and Unsummon. So this hand's like pretty poor. We're just going to mulligan. This is a Botanical Sanctum into a Bushwhack into other spells. I'm going to keep this by default. I think the card that I care the least about is probably my Cash Grab. I've already got Seed Hope and a billion cards I'm going to cast, so I'll just ship the Cash Grab and plan to draw a creature naturally at some point. And I do have the Seed of Hope. I could like still find one off of that. Heartfire Hero, sure. All right, we found a land. I actually don't even need to Bushwhack yet. I think I'm actually going to hold up Seed of Hope and Unsummon here, just in case they decide to go super tall with this Heartfire Hero randomly. And they do, it's a Feather of Flight, so we will Unsummon the Heartfire Hero. See, dude, we love 2-for-1s. All right, take a draw, it's Flood Farm. Let's go ahead and play Up the Beanstalk. And there's a threat. We got an Eddymurk Crab right off the top. Heartfire Hero is good. Now, funnily, we might need to, if we're Bushwhacking, it might be for, I don't even know, are we Bushwhacking? Not with this town ain't big enough being our top deck, no, because this Hedge Maze turns our Floodfarm Verge into a blue land, which is really important. And we have land drop 4 number here, which I think we want to keep, because it looks like we might not be able to get our Eddymurk Crab to be a 2-drop, more like a 3 or 4-drop before we want to cast it. So we're interested in making land drop number 4. We've got Seed of Hope. Mostly I'm interested in this Pawpatch Formation, just in case our opponent has another like Feather of Flight or something. It's Monstrous Rage. That makes me want a This Town Ain't Big Enough, but then they could have Shard Mage's Rescue, so I think I'm just going to let this go. I'm going to let them attack me. I'll just take the 5. All right, no further actions. Now I'm just going to Seed of Hope. I'm just never going to play into Shard Mage's Rescue. Sheltered by Ghosts. That's cool. I could Bushwhack for land. Yeah, we'll just take Sheltered by Ghosts. Draw for turn. We'll Bushwhack for basic island. There's my basic island. We'll play the basic island. And now we'll probably be able to get this Heartfire Hero out of play if we need to, because we have Unsummon plus This Town Ain't Big Enough. But if they don't do anything meaningful, we'll just let it attack us for 3. Feather of Flight. That is a meaningful thing, I guess. We'll Unsummon the Heartfire Hero. You Shard Mages, This Town Ain't Big Enough, then I bury you with Eddymurk Crab. Okay, This Town Ain't Big Enough. Get my Beanstalk back, draw a card. See ya. Yeah, I feel a little bad. This probably is like a tough matchup for my opponent. Now that I'm looking at how the matchup plays out with all the tools I have access to, it seems kind of nightmarish. But small sample size. This is like maybe the 2nd game I've played against this deck, and they did not have a potent game 1 at all. We still have Eddymurk Crab. I could also Sleight of Hand into Terror, which makes my Shelter by Ghosts better. So let's do that. Let's go Sleight of Hand, grab a Cash Grab, I guess, just because it can find more threats. Play Tolarian Terror, draw a card, have 2 Eddymurk Crabs. This has to be a nightmare for opponent. Yeah, you got a Heartfire Hero. They need like Lithomanthic Barrage here or something. Yeah, that's not going to be close to enough. So yeah, you can pump your Heartfire Hero. That's good. I draw. Let's go Shelter by Ghosts just right now. Put it on the Tolarian Terror, grab the Heartfire Hero. Go to combat, beat for 6. And then we haven't made a land drop yet, so we're going to go ahead and try. Just Seed of Hope, see if we find one. Not quite, but we'll take a second Shelter by Ghost, that's fine. We're not going to cast it just in case our opponent has Lithomanthic Barrage. We'll just Eddymurk Crab into Sheltered if we have to. A Tally's Favor onto the Manifold Mouse. It's going to discover 3 on enter. That's fine, go for it. Heartfire Hero, sure, that's good. When you enter combat, you can target whatever you want. I'm just going to go ahead and tap both of your blockers, draw a card off of the Up the Beanstalk. This is 11 out of 14 damage I need to deal, which isn't quite lethal, but it's close enough. Sanctum, sure. Do I want to like fight these things to get them out of play? I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess I can like Bushwhack with Tolarian Terror to gain some more life. We'll Bushwhack the Manifold Mouse, go up to 31, then we'll Shelter by Ghosts onto the Eddymurk Crab. to get the Heartfire hero out of play. None of this is necessary, but like I've got spells, so I'm going to cast them. Okay, opponent sees that they are just super duper dead and concedes. Thank you, opponent. All right, that was pretty sweet. These matchups have felt a little bit soft. I'm hoping to play against like Ramp or something next round, or like a really good mono red deck to show like the weak parts of this deck, or maybe even Flood Caller combo. But let's just find out what we play in round 4. Our opponent's on the play. Looks like they're taking a mulligan as well. I don't have any land search effects, but I just have Sleight of Hand into Stormchasers and Unsummon, which is like filtering part of our game plan plus interaction, and a Tolarian Terror. I'm just supposed to keep this, I think. A lot more wastes into Lamar Elves? Nope, a lot more wastes into Patchwork Recruit. Pawpatch Recruit, sure. I could lead on a tap land, but I think I just want to start casting my spells ASAP. Let's go Sleight of Hand. Right? No. Let's go Stormchaser's Talent. Get a blocker going. Next turn, we'll like Sleight of Hand plus hold up Unsummon or something. Keen-Eyed Curator, what do you do? As long as there are 4 more card types among cards exiled with Keen-Eyed, it gets +4/+4 and has trample. Exile target cards from a graveyard for a colorless mana? That's really good. Let's go ahead and play an island and think about just doing nothing really quick. As a matter of fact, I should have played Hedge Maze, but yeah, I'm going to think about just doing nothing. I'm not going to attack, I'm going to pass. I might just do nothing for as long as my opponent lets me here. I'm going to try to get critical mass in the graveyard as fast as possible. Okay, Pawpatch Recruit. I'm just going to unsummon the Keen-Eyed now that they're tapped out. That's going to pump their current Pawpatch to being a 3/2, but now I have a 2/2 Otter, so the big blunder here was not just putting my Hedge Maze into play because now I'm wasting the turn. Let's go Sleight of Hand. I want to Surveil last, so yeah, we'll go Sleight of Hand now. We'll grab Cash Grab, then we'll go another Sleight of Hand. We'll grab Bushwhack, then we'll go Hedge Maze and maybe put a land on top, hopefully. Picklock Prankster is not quite what we want, and then we will not attack because we can hold it back and block like one of their 2/1s or something. Pawpatch Recruit is pretty good against the card Unsummon, actually. It's going to start pumping their creatures. It's not that long before their other creatures can start to like trade with Tolarian Terror, and that is scary. We will take a block on the Pawpatch here. I wonder what they could have. No, oh, they just trade away a Pawpatch? That seems weird. Okay, well, we will... I think we're really interested in making a land drop. We could Bushwhack, but I just don't think we're going to do that this game. I'm going to use the Bushwhack to go grab a basic island. They probably activate Keen-Eyed Curator in response, which is like fine. Grab my Unsummon, sure. Here's a basic island for me. We'll play it. Now, if I get really lucky with Cash Grab and hit 2 instants and sorceries, I can jam the Terror this coming turn and kind of get under the Keen-Eyed Curator a little bit, which seems like it could be good. Alternatively, I could play Sleight of Hand plus hold up this town ain't big enough, and that could be like, okay, but I really think I want to start getting bodies into play. I think I'm going to take a risky line here and just go for it. Show me money, show me money. We didn't quite hit, but we got some good spells. This Eddymurk Crab's probably phenomenal. We'll just take it, and then we'll Sleight of Hand. Now this is gonna snipe 3 cards from our graveyard, so this is just really good here. Unlike Scavenging Ooze, who costs green to do it, this dude does it for just no reason. I think we're supposed to take just an Analyze the Pollen here, because they would have to use that. If they wanted to meaningfully hurt me, they'd have to use all their mana on Keen-Eyed next turn. And they're just doing another Pawpatch, which is like, that's okay with us. I take bunches of damage, and then let's do everything. Let's go, I think we want to go Analyze the Pollen first, so I can like cast all my spells. Plus make land drop. So we'll grab our forest, then we'll play our forest, then we can play Tolarian Terror and hold up Seed of Hope plus Eddymurk Crab, and that seems fine. Does this trigger on abilities? Spell or ability? Yep, that is kind of terrifying. If they attack us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, can we take 7 here? I'm just going to let them attack. I'm actually not going to Eddymurk and target their stuff. All right, they're attacking, meaning their Keen-Eyed Curator. It needs to have 4 more card types exiled with it. So we're going to go to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll go to blockers, and we will block the Keen-Eyed Curator and see what they do. All right, they're going to exile Analyze, so we're going to put an Eddymurk Crab into play tapped, I think. No, we're not. We're going to let that resolve. I guess if I target any of their things, that's 4 Pawpatch Recruit triggers, so I don't want to target anything they have. I want to just let this happen. They're going to grab creature, so now I think it's safe to Seed of Hope, just to make sure I can still cast my Eddymurk. And what is it, plus? It's +4/+4, that's so much. We'll grab a Yavimaya Coast. Yep, you've got my Picklock Prankster, and now you're going to grab Stormchaser's Talent. Does that complete the trifecta? You've got sorcery, instant, creature. That's pretty good. Can I beat it? I don't actually know. Does it get trample? We let that resolve. It's a 7/7 with trample. Wow, this was incredible. So now I can, this town ain't big enough, a Pawpatch Recruit, but then all the other Pawpatch recruits are going to trigger, and we'll watch what happens. I'll let our opponent show off how sick their deck is. I guess I'll bounce the Keen-Eyed Curator just because it has trample, and it's going to trigger every single Pawpatch. And I think we're going to take like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we're going to go to -1 here. Yep, -1. That was impressive. It was oppressive. Pawpatch recruit is really good against what our deck's trying to do. That said, I don't know. They've already got ways to interact with their graveyard in the main, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in Sheltered by Ghosts as a permanent removal spell, and our Monastery Mentors, because I think they're just good. I also think on the play that Minor Misstep might actually be good. Cards that we're going to take out, we're going to scoop out the Yavimaya Coast. Let's say 3 Eddymurk Crabs, because that targets their creatures, and that's going to trigger Pawpatch. And we'll leave the Tolarian Terrors, and maybe we can take out like 1. We'll think about taking out 1 because they've got like main board ways to interact with our graveyard, which is kind of messed up. We want to take out a slight, no, I think we want to leave as many 1-drops in as possible. We'll take out a Picklock Prankster. Yeah, let's take out like 1 Terror plus like, yeah, I guess we have to take out like, I guess we'll do a Cash Grab plus a Sleight of Hand. We'll try this. We'll see how this works out. Shelter by Ghost is actually like much more meaningful than Unsummon. I still think we need Unsummon to protect our own Monastery Mentors, but this matchup I could see this being the case where it's kind of tough. Minor Misstep is in our hand, and this hand does not cast it. We also have 2 Up the Beanstalks and no way to trigger them, plus Monastery Mentor. Is this even like close to reasonable? Our mana just works. We might be able to shake our opponent off with the Monastery Mentor. I'm going to try this just because I want to see how the Monastery Mentor plays into this matchup, but I could see this developing so poorly. We'll pitch that Yavimaya Coast. Pawpatch, no Pawpatch, skip it. It's a Duress. Ooh, our hand is pretty resilient to Duress. Minor Misstep, we couldn't cast it on turn 1 anyway, so taking that seems weird. I've got double Beanstalk. Eventually those Beanstalks will probably be good. So as far as 1-drops go, that's the one we're like the most okay with. So let's play Up the Beanstalk. We did draw Stormchaser's Talent, which is pretty good. Draw a card. Cash Grab is like fine. There's their Keen-Eyed Curator, the thing I was worried about in the first place. Play land. Let's get this Stormchaser's Talent going. And then we'll just pass the turn, holding up Cash Grab, hoping to find a land with the Cash Grab. That would be the ideal. All right, Mosswood Dread Knight as a trampler? Sure. All right, Cash Grab. 1 land, please. Please. No luck. All right, I'll take Stormchaser's Talent. That's fine. Seed of Hope. I really think I need to make my land drops here to use my Monastery Mentor. I don't know how much removal they have in their deck, but I don't want to just expose it face up. So I'm going to go Sleight of Hand. Take Unsummon's pretty good. Although, how thick is my graveyard right now? That's pretty thick. I think I'm actually supposed to take Tolarian Terror. Yeah, I think I'm just supposed to play Tolarian Terror. That kind of just worked out. And then we've got our land drop and Bushwhack. Okay, I don't feel too bad now. Our Cash Grab wound up being good enough to like ignore the Keen-Eyed Curator. Although this Minor Misstep has just been rotting in our hands, which isn't great. All right, take a draw. Now we're going to just go grab our basic land. It'll be unfortunately, the way our hands developed, I think we want to get a forest. Let me go land, and then we can go Seed of Hope. I just want to keep our graveyard as thick as possible because we are doing graveyard-centric things now. Let's grab Stormchaser's Talent. Do I want to hold up Minor Misstep? Don't actually know. I guess they are stuck on 2 lands. Maybe Minor Misstep's just like fine. They've got a bunch of X1s too. I'm just going to play the Stormchaser's Talent, and then I'm going to come in for 4. They'd have to do a double block to kill it. They could just chump with Mosswood Dread Knight, but then they're like, their whole next turn is just draw a card with Mosswood, and we don't care about that. Now they play like some unbeatable 1-drop that I needed Misstep to beat. But no, they don't do anything. Cool. They can't attack either. All right, it looks like this game's gonna like wind up going in our favor, but it's less because of how good our plan was and more because our opponent kind of like petered out, unfortunately. There's nothing they could really do about it. We'll play Monastery Mentor, and then we'll just get busy for 5. If they want to like double block it, I just don't care. All right, they don't block, which I think is probably the correct play. Pass to you, opponent. I'm just going to hold up Misstep plus Seed of Hope, trigger my Mentor as many times as possible. Yeah, you got it, buddy. All right, they just play that and pass to me. I guess I'm going to Seed of Hope. Seed, trigger all the things. Seed of Hope gets me nothing, which is like kind of actually not what I wanted this time. But this Unsummon is probably going to be unbeatable. Let's play Stormchaser's Talent, trigger everything. Everything gets enormous. Love to see it. Let's go ahead and unsummon, I guess, Keen-Eyed Curator. Trigger everything. Pawpatch recruits trigger twice. I just don't care. Yeah, you got it, buddy. Then your max toughness is 3, so I guess maybe I just attack with a Monastery Mentor. Now I have so many huge dudes. I'll leave my Mentor back, but it's close. Oh, they concede anyway. Okay, it doesn't matter. I think I could have gone either way. Like, I've just got so much damage, they have no hope of coming back from it. And on the draw, the only difference here is I think I'm cutting and Analyze the Pollen and bringing back in something generically good like Sleight of Hand, just because I get one more draw step, meaning I'll see more lands on average per game. It's a small change, but I think a meaningful one. All right, opponent, your deck is so sick. I've heard of the Rabbits deck. I know it's more popular in Best of One, which is not something we'll play on this channel. Best of One is not a real thing. I don't know why people play that format. It's like arena only. I guess if you're an arena only player and you never play Paper Magic, and so you don't care if it translates or not, it's fine. I play primarily Paper Magic, so. But this hand is like Up the Beanstalk, Tolarian Terror, Unsummon. It's good against everything but like multiple Pawpatches, so I have to keep it. But if they have multiple Pawpatches, it's pretty bad. But our opponent's deck seems pretty sweet. I'm not exactly sure what the black is for. I can't remember if I've seen a black card yet. We'll go Hedge Maze. It'll trigger. We'll look at this town ain't big enough. It's really cool. Do I need my land drops that bad, or can I like... I guess that plus I can go like Stormchasers next turn. Maybe I'm just going to keep this and try to like go Stormchasers, Beanstalk, or maybe I just go Beanstalk into Stormchasers. We'll have to see how our opponent develops their hand. All right, there's a Mosswood Dread Knight. You attack, I assume. Ouch. Then I go, yeah, I think it's just Up the Beanstalk to hedge towards trying to find my third land drop, because that'll make my third turn much better. And I found it. So next turn, I probably go like Stormchasers, hold up Unsummon, because they don't have any Pawpatches. Yeah, they just aren't doing anything. So let's go the plan I just talked about. Hiya. Go ahead, opponent. Good luck. Another Mosswood. I'm surprised they're not drawing cards. They haven't been making their land drops. That may be a little bit of a misplay from our opponent. You also like don't have a good attack. I guess you can attack with Mosswood safely, which I will just take. I don't care. Then I'll Seed of Hope. Start to put stuff into the graveyard. Seems great for me. Okay, cool. And we get a land drop. That all seems good. Take a draw step. It's a land. Let's play not the land yet. Let's just Sleight of Hand first. Trigger Prowess. Take a lookie. Sheltered by Ghosts. I don't have any white sources right now. I think I'll just take this town ain't big enough. Then I'll play my island, and I will... This town ain't big enough to bounce Lawnmower Elves plus Stormchaser's talent. Trigger everything. I'm mostly doing that first just to draw a card to inform whether or not I want to summon this Mosswood Dread Knight and start to tempo them out. They might just concede here with all the things I'm doing. I don't know. All right, Botanical Sanctum, not a great draw. I don't think it matters a whole lot. I could Unsummon. That would make my Tolarian Terror a little cheaper. I think I just like putting more dudes in play, and they can just chump a 4/4. 8. They didn't even chump. Your turn, opponent. All right, they concede. That was sad. Their game 1 was so insane, and they just kind of like couldn't get off the ground games 2 and 3. But oh well, what can you do? Our deck, I think, is probably more consistent. This Beanstalk deck is incredibly consistent. It's one of my favorite things about it. The biggest inconsistency you'll see with the deck is you're a 17 land deck. So sometimes you just draw those hands with one Floodfarm Verge as your only land and you can't do anything. But we're 4-1, so let's just see if we can like nail a 5-0 for the first one. I don't know. All right, game 5, let's see what we got here. We're on the draw, bummer. We've got Talent, Seed of Hope, Tolarian. Yeah, this hand's great. For our opponents playing like mono red, that's going to be the fail state for this hand, and even then we've got some play. We've still got Seed of Hope. Talent makes a blocker. If Seed of Hope gets crazy, it's a demolition field. That's interesting. So now that throws that out the window. I was thinking like, what if we're playing against mono red? This does not look like mono red. We're just gonna go level 0, turn 1 Stormchaser's talent. The talent, like, I probably talk about it the least in terms of like how the deck operates, but it's probably one of the most important cards in the deck. It actually is insane. There's a lot of kills you get with just 1/1 dudes. Murex Demolition Field, you're going to have 2 colorless? What are you doing? Maybe it's mono black. This might just be mono black, which I have to assume is a good matchup. Would you just take for me? My Picklock Prankster? Sure, that's fine. Let's just hold up Unsummon, put Hedge Maze into play tapped, look at the top card. I'll take a second Seed of Hope, sure. Attack for 1. You figure it out. You go. Attack for 1, sure, that's fine. Hopefully play a black source or something. A green source, is this... I have no clue what's happening. Now I think they're probably like Golgari, but with just the worst possible mana base you can imagine. Let's go ahead and unsummon the Mosswood Dread Knight, just to tempo play our opponent. We'll take a draw step. We'll play we won't even play a land yet. First we'll play Seed of Hope. Mill 2, Beanstalk maybe? No luck. Stormchaser's talent's fine. Then we'll go land, Stormchaser's talent, trigger prowess. Then I guess we will Seed of Hope again. Maybe find a Beanstalk. That would be the ideal, because we've got like a bunch of huge converted mana cost spells in our hand. We find it. We attack for 4. Okay, we got a natural black source from opponent. Finally. Also, Golgari, much like... Ooh, Maelstrom Pulse is really good for our opponent here. But Golgari, much like the Dimir deck, is a solid matchup for us. We're just going to take this turn to develop Beanstalk. We'll be able to cast our terrors eventually. If we draw a land here, it's just insane. But we just want to get that into play first and then attack for 4. And then we'll just start casting terrors and eventually we'll draw a land and start double spelling. And I think Archfiend of the Dross is the only thing we're really afraid of. But we have at this town 8 big enough in hand, so I don't know how afraid of that we even are. Attack for 1, take 1. All right, you got it, Mosswood Dread Knight. You got another spell. Ooh, another Mosswood Dread Knight, sure. Okay, me go, me draw. I'm just going to start hard casting these for 2. And at some point, I'll draw a land. Ooh, Analyze the Pollen. Great, that's a land. Let's go grab. Do I have basic islands left in my deck? I've milled some cards. I do. Do I? Yes. Okay, let's get basic island. Boop. Now I can play this and play another Tolarian Terror. And I'm not even going to bother attacking here. I'm just going to like wait till I can pump my prowess creatures out of death range from the Mosswood Dread Knights. Because they get to keep casting those, you know, and that's not great for us. Yep, I'll take 1 and go to 20. Okay, let's go. We'll open on Tolarian Terror just to get the card draw out of the way first. That's an Unsummon. This is probably just lethal. Let's start with Sleight of Hand. Do they have a man land? No. We'll take an Up the Beanstalk because that's the only choice. Then I guess it's not quite lethal, right? We need to unsummon 2 things and we can only do 1. Let's not even unsummon anything. Let's just cast another Up the Beanstalk. We don't need to rush for lethal. Because Mosswood Dread Knights can double up and double block a Tolarian Terror, we will ship in with everything. That way, if they want to take out a Tolarian Terror, they still have to take 11 from the other creatures. All right, they just trade across the board and go to 3. All right, dude, you're up. Drawing cards with those is going to be painful at 3 life as well. All right, you've made a Phyrexian Might. Okay, now you're at 2. What's the goal here? Play Shieldred and die to lethal. All right, you're at 1. I don't get it. Okay, they died. Golgari, very similarly good matchup to blue-black. This is kind of a weird version. I've never seen so many utility lands that aren't like Restless Cottage in the deck. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they're doing something that I'm not aware of. I do need to get out of the way of the graveyard. They definitely have Scavenging Ooze. They probably have Tranquil Throwback. So we're going to be in Plains. We're not going to touch Shelter by Ghosts because they have so much removal that like Shelter by Ghosts is just a huge liability. So we're going to bring in the Mentors. Unsummon's also above rate in this matchup. And then I guess we'll bring in like 1 Pick Your Poison for now. Very similar to how we sideboard against blue-black. And the Pick Your Poison is because of like cards like Archfiend of the Dross. It also hits like Unholy Annex. Seems fine. We'll lose a Yavimaya Coast, 1 of each of our creatures. We'll lose 1 of our Searchers, and then we'll lose like, it could be anything. We'll take out Picklock Prankster because it can't find Monastery Mentor. All right, here's that hand I was talking about earlier, where you have lands and spells, but you draw 2 of your Floodfarm Verges. There is a downside to splashing white in the deck, and that's that Floodfarm Verge, you could of course splash white by playing the other Verge, which is a green land, but then Floodfarm Verge is always white, so it's actually a little bit better at helping you cast your Monastery Mentors. That makes this hand unkeepable. So a mulligan, this hand has no green, but it has everything else. I think because of the Sleight of Hand, Unsummon, and Stormchaser's talent, I'm going to try keeping this. I'll just pitch a Floodfarm Verge. We need to get access to green in the next 2 to 3 turns, but we'll be able to open on Stormchasers and use Unsummon to keep our head above water. And we do have a white source for eventually when we hopefully find a Monastery Mentor. So this hand's like fine. This Duress, if our opponent knows what's up, they should hit Sleight of Hand. They might hit Stormchaser's talent out of panic, but I think it's Sleight of Hand is the take here. Yeah, they hit Stormchaser's talent. I don't think that was correct. All right, here, let's go Sleight and find my green source. Deep Cavern Bat. I wonder what this one takes. Maybe Pick Your Poison, just because I can use it to make them sack the bat. Yeah, there goes the pick. Here's my Botanical Sanctum. I'm fine just casting Sleight of Hand here. They're not touching my graveyard. I do not love seeing 2 more lands here, though. That's kind of a bummer. But we'll just pass the turn. They would attack for 1, sure. That's good. Fabled Passage, probably not a great pick for the mana base of this deck. Unless they're in 3 colors for some reason. But if they're just in 2 colors, there's plenty of dual lands in black green. They've got access to Lamor Elves. They just don't need it, I don't think. What do they get? Blooming Marsh plus the Restless Land plus Lamor Wastes. That's so good. Okay, they pass to me. I take a draw. I get the talent. The talent's really good here. We'll just go land plus Stormchaser's talent, make a dude. Eventually we'll buy back something with it. Right now there's nothing super enticing, so I'm just going to pass. I mean, I couldn't pay for it anyway, but you know what I mean. Terra Sunder? Sure. I am comfortable with that. They attack for 1. We take 1. This is a slow clock. Normally, the reason to play Golgari is because they can develop a clock like really quickly. They are just not doing that to me. I'm going to attack for 1. This Murex could eventually become a problem if I don't find like any fat creatures, but we got a couple more turns before we have to start thinking about that. They get busy, we take... Fetch, sure. They just pass to me. I don't feel like I need to do anything else just yet. Drawing land 5 here is not good. We've been like a quarter to draw land for the past couple turns and we've hit all of them. Let's go to combat. I guess I did want to hit lands. I should have been more specific. We can stop after like the 3rd or 4th. We'll attack for 1. They're probably going to go with the Mirex plan, so we really need to find... At this point, Up the Beanstalk is going to be our best draw, because like 1 Tolarian Terror is like, it'll be good, but it won't move the needle enough. They'll still be able to attack around it with their Mirex tokens. Duress Me. Interesting. They probably take this town ain't big enough. I have to let them do it. I'm not going to bounce my own prowess creature. This following turn, I'll probably stop attacking for 1 and just hold it back as a blocker so they can't develop more Phyrexian Mites and keep attacking for free. Oh, they took Analyze the Pollen? That's super weird to me. Land, pass. There's my Up the Beanstalk. They're not going to be able to remove it because I have this town ain't big enough, which is also super good. We get a draw step. It's another Up the Beanstalk. Do I just play that here? I think so. If they want to remove 1, that's fine. Now I have 2. All right, well, I guess we're flooding, but that's okay, because now I can cast this town ain't big enough, which draws me 2 cards. I will not attack, though. Their mites are starting to get scary. I have to start considering just blocking 1 every turn. Cavern naming Phyrexian, sure. Maelstrom Pulse my dude, also fine. I probably need to bounce a 1/1 now, and I'm cool with doing that. We're just going to go bounce. They didn't Maelstrom Pulse my Up the Beanstalk, probably because they just know about that this town ain't big enough. But we're doing this because it draws us 2 cards. Double Seed of Hope. It's getting to the point where we're quite likely to find our creatures now. Doesn't even really matter which ones we find. Any of our creatures are going to be pretty good here. Mosswood Dread Knight, lose a life, draw a card. Me draw Yavimaya Coast. Let's go Seed of Hope. All right, we'll take Stormchasers, but we will play another Seed of Hope. Okay, nothing. We will play Up the Beanstalk. We're going to play all these first, just in case we draw something else we want to play. Island, the lands. Here's a Stormchasers. Then I will pass. If they don't have the answer to the Stormchasers, we can of course always just go and get our, this town ain't big enough and that'll be good. This Deep Cavern Bat is gonna try to snipe something from my hand. I suppose I could just like unsummon a 1/1 here. Pump my other 1/1, or my current 1/1 to block 1 of their mites. Now they can't get in for any more poison. We're like 1 in 5 to draw lands now, I think. Yeah, there's only 36 left in our deck. Our opponent also has flooded out pretty badly. Flooding out with a Mirex is a different thing though. They can get in for 1 in the air pretty comfortably. Pass to me, that's a cash grab. Let's just cast the cash grab. We're like super likely to hit now. All right, that's a Tolarian Terror. That should just about do it. Play Terror, draw 2 cards. There's a This Town Ain't Big Enough. Let's go ahead and This Town Ain't Big Enough. The Stormchaser's Talent plus the 1/1. We're just going to take this turn to fill our hand back up. Get an Eddymurk Crab, that's great. Play Stormchaser's Talent. Make another body. Make this thing into a 4/4. Go to combat. I'm fine if they just want to like block with Mosswood Dread Knight and then draw a card. Yep. Pow. And then I'll pass to you, opponent. Yep, you lose a life and draw a card. We have 27 left in deck, so we're not in... One of the things that can happen in matchups like this where it goes super long is we actually become... drawing our entire deck becomes a loss condition for us, so sometimes we have to bounce 1 of our own Beanstalks. Ooh, looks like they found a second Maelstrom Pulse, so we'll just go ahead and Eddymurk Crab to draw 2 more cards. 1, 2... Couple cash grabs. Not great with only 25 cards left in our library, but we have... pretty close to lethal here, so I'm not sweating it anymore. You've got a Mosswood Dread Knight. Migo. Okay, let's like... Can I kill you? No, that would be so many spells. Let's just cast... I guess I'll unsummon now. I just want to push through like a bunch of damage. I'm pretty certain this like isn't even a good play. I'm just doing it because I don't know how we lose here. We're going to cast Cash Grab, trigger our Otters, flip 4. We'll grab, I guess, Stormchaser's Talent. We don't even need Up the Beanstalk. Yeah, our opponent sees it. They just concede. That's a shame. They kind of didn't... That just looked like Golgari Midrange to me, just like really weirdly sequenced and poorly played, and they kind of flooded out. I don't know. That was a 5-0. We'll take the 5-0s. And then obviously the pricing for 5-0 is just raw profit, 1,000 gems, 3 packs, yada yada. I'd open the packs, but like who actually cares about that? Really quick before we end the video, I do have some updates to get to. So if you're only wanted to see gameplay, you can leave now before I wrap up. I do want to talk about that. So a couple things. Going into 2025, we're going to start streaming. Again, if you want to see streaming on YouTube, you got to give me a good reason. I want to stream on YouTube, but right now the only thing that makes sense to me is streaming on Twitch. So that's probably what we're going to wind up doing. The stream VODs, like the re-uploads, will definitely go on Fluorescent Fungus because that's going to be mostly mythic grinding on the mythic ladder because I think that's super fun to do. And now that standard is a, competitively viable format, I'll feel better doing that. I just don't want to do it on the main channel. For the main channel, if we do any standard, it's going to be like this with these leagues so we can play 5 games and it'll be fine. It'll, it's definitely takes backseat to the paper gameplay, but I think it's pretty interesting. And if you guys enjoy it, well, hopefully you enjoy it. And if you do, let me know in the comments as well. And then, so that covers streaming and that covers the B channel. And then other than that, we got some cool pre-modern decks coming. We got a shoot going on this weekend and that's going to be super fun. And then outside of that, there's nothing else that's definitive in stone. We got some really cool other video topics happening starting at the beginning of the year, which one of them is going to be deck techs. I want to focus a lot harder on the deck techs because standard moves really quickly, and I don't want to just like brush over all the cards at the beginning of the video. I see some channels that do that, and that's cool, but I'd rather like do a dedicated video talking about like the deck, how it plays into some matchups. And then if you're already a patron, you know that I do sideboard guides. Coming up at the beginning of the year, there's going to be sideboard guides for every deck that I personally pilot on the channel. Sometimes it may take a little bit to get them out because I pilot a lot of decks, but and it'll probably only be for the top 8 or so decks in the format, but that'll be available to you if you want to check that out. If you're not a patron, there's a link in the description as always. If you're not, don't sweat it. Watching the videos is plenty for me. That should be it. That's all your little updates. That's your little league. So that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time.